you know.
Yep. Shall I? So no, you keep it. I can shout. There used to be seeing shout. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm really pleased to introduce Sister Isra, whom I know for how many years? I don't know. 20? Maybe 20. She is not my daughter. She is my wife's daughter. Well, she used to be my wife's student. So we used to treat her in our family as one of our family members, and then moved into shortcut. We don't have much time. Moved into medical studies as usual. Everybody wants to become either an engineer or doctor.
Or a lawyer.
Or lawyer, but usually doctors, an ideal for daughters, for the girls. So maybe she wanted it, maybe her parents pushed on the way, so which one is true. So to become a doctor, it's better. When we are old, we need a doctor. So, but fortunately, the situation changed in Turkey, that's fortunately. Then she couldn't carry on her studies in the medical studies because of the scar problem. They said all people who wear scarves are backward people, get out of the schools. All right, she left school, education after 4 years, isn't it?
3.
3 years. You completed your 3 years in medical studies, and then of course she couldn't attend. It was good. Then she joined the army of tens of thousands of people moving out of the country and looking for other places for their education, to carry on their education. So she moved to the States. It is the actually paradise of those people who are persecuted in their own countries comes to the States. So she was one of them, and went to Connecticut and Hartford Seminary, took a master's studies there, and completed her Islamic studies and other interfaith dialogues, interfaith studies.
Christian-Muslim relations.
And then after completion of MA master degree, went to Virginia University and did her PhD there, completed, and then moved to Philadelphia and St. Joseph's University. She's teaching Islamic studies in this religious studies department.
Yeah, we have a theology and religious studies.
Theology and religious studies department. And here she is. You will see how brilliant she is. I'm not going to make any comment on it. So, inshallah. By the way, she's got a son looking for somebody else. So if anybody is no rush, okay. She's got a lovely son. May I, please pray for her son. Inshallah, may Allah protect our generation, new generation. Thank you. Inshallah, we would like to listen to her. So you can.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May God's peace and blessings and mercy be on all of you and all of us. It's really an honor to be here before my teacher. I have learned a lot from him. So I'm both excited and honored to be here in front of him, sharing some studying with you from the Qur'an, inshallah. So the title of my talk today is Encountering the Qur'an in Ramadan. I thought I would go over a couple of verses in the Qur'an about Ramadan, and then use them as like our gateway into understanding and opening up more deeply to the meanings of the Qur'an, inshallah, in this beautiful month. and afterwards. So the famous passages about Ramadan fasting in the Quran are these. So the first one highlights the fact that fasting has been ordained to many people before us and to us as well. So in original, I will read يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. And as you see up here, the translation from Asad reads, "O you who have attained faith, fasting is ordained to you as it was ordained for those before you, so that you might remain conscious of God." So immediately there's a connection between fasting and taqwa, awareness of God, consciousness of God. And then the next verse moves on to give us a bit more detail about fasting. أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريض فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. And in translation reads as fasting during a certain number of days, but whoever of you is ill or on a journey shall fast instead for the same number of other days. And in such cases, it is incumbent upon those who can afford it to make sacrifice by feeding a needy person. And whoever does good more than he's bound to do, does good unto himself thereby. For to fast is to do good unto yourselves if you but knew it. We can go into details, but what catches immediately my attention as a reader of the Quran here is this emphasis on fasting is good for you if you but knew. So one question that comes to me is, what is this big deal about fasting? I mean, if you just define it, it's just you're starving yourself basically. You're not eating, drinking, and it's really hard to, when you describe it to someone else, just who doesn't know about it, it's really you don't eat and drink. So what is this whole big deal about fasting? It's a universal commandment, and then to you as well, so that you can be conscious, and it's good for you if you but knew. There are exemptions, but if you can fast, it's good for you. What is this whole deal about fasting? And then the next verse, to me, responds to that curiosity that arises in us, and it directly links fasting with Qur'an. So. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. And for the purpose of today's discussion, we'll focus on this verse, especially the beginning. Is very, very interesting. It's the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was first. It doesn't say first in the original. It just says the Quran was bestowed from on high as a guidance unto people and as a self-evident proof of that guidance, and as the standard by which to discern the true from the false. Hence, whoever of you lives to see this month shall pass throughout it, but he that is ill or on a journey shall fast instead for the same number of other days. God wills you that you shall have ease, and does not will you to suffer hardship. And he desires that you complete the number, and that you extol God for his having you guided aright, and that you render thanks unto him. So this is key. This verse is key in the sense that it immediately connects fasting with the descending of the Quran. So there's something, an intimate connection between fasting and Quran coming down as guidance. So, so fast is not just for the sake of fasting. It has a purpose. It has a purpose of welcoming Ramadan, welcoming the Qur'an, opening up to the Qur'an. And I want to kind of take time to reflect on it a bit today. So Ramadan fast prepares us to welcome the descent of the Qur'an. And what is Qur'an? It defines itself. It is bestowed from high. It's a blessing. It's coming down. That move from up down is coming down to our level. It's a blessing. It's a gift. That's spatial. It has a symbolic significance. That's spatial. Something coming down, rain coming down, or blessings coming down. It's precious and symbolically has that significance. And as a guidance, it defines itself as the guidance. And if the Quran, if the Quran, God's word, almost everyone in this world believes that, but I wanted to kind of highlight it more. If this is the speech or address of my Creator, yeah, he is entitled to guide me because He created me. I wasn't here and He brought me here. And if this is from my Creator, yes, I am willing to listen because He can decipher my existence to me. And so guidance here is not guidance how to find the way. We have MapQuest, we have our smartphones. We don't need the guidance here is making sense of our lives, making sense of the world around us. And how do I know that it's really guidance? Don't not heresy, this is a question. It's a welcome question because we cannot just because the text says so, we can't just take its word unless we have reasons to take its word. And what is really interesting and exciting for me here is the text itself, the Quran itself, encourages that kind of asking. Like, how do I know you're the guidance? How do I know you're from my Creator? Any clue? Any evidence? And it does welcome that kind of encounter because that's the real encounter with the Quran. If we look at how the sacred texts are transmitted over ages, from generation to generation, what makes a text sacred for someone cannot be that his mom told him that this is a sacred text, take it. It becomes sacred for you the moment you start feeling that, yeah, it actually is guiding me. So we have to have a direct encounter with the text and really check it out for ourselves. And the beautiful thing here is the way the Quran is defining itself is already there. It's saying Qur'an hudan lin-nas wa bayyinatin min al-huda. So it's guidance and then evidence of that guidance. Bayyina is very clear evidence. So this text is containing both guidance and evidence for the guidance. So you can be sure that that is indeed guidance from my Creator, enlightening my life. So in today's talk, I want to just do two things. Then one is to kind of dwell a bit on the question of so how do I know? How do I know it's guiding me? And then move on to the question of so how does Ramadan fast opens me up to guidance? How does it enables me to encounter the Quran better? So the first part, how do I recognize that the Quran is guiding me? It's by testing it out in real life. If this is a text that claims to enlighten my life, so I'm going to take it and test it out in life. And that's already a Quranic idea. If all of you know the fact that in the Quran the exact same term is used for two things. One for verbal signs, ayat of the Quran, which means the verses of the message. And then it's the same term used for things out there or in here, but things, ontological things like from the birds to human soul, your emotions to the ocean and the rain and the plants and the bee. So we actually, when we say ayah, signs of God, messages of God, we're talking about, as you all know, double thing. We're talking about the text, the address, that guidance, and then we're also talking about how that is played out. Those messages are played out in every day in the world out there. So, there are actually two Qur'ans. Okay, don't kick me out of here. I don't know your experience, so I just want to be careful. You know? No heresy, but you know, there are actually two Qur'ans going on here. So the Qur'an, one Qur'an is the Qur'an that we normally mean, the address that God has sent down as the final universal message, that address to us. And then the other Qur'an is the Qur'an of Qur'an Kawniyya, the Qur'an of creation, the world, the creation itself is the Qur'an. It is full of messages disclosing our Creator. It's full of messages revealing our Maker to us. So then, how do I know the Quran is guiding me? I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna look in the world and match it and see how it matches the signs out there, or in here. They are all signs. So then, with this, let's turn back to this verse 185 and reflect a bit. How is it that fasting is an appropriate response in welcoming this descent of revelation, this coming down of the Quran? So, you know, what is it in abstaining from food and drink? What's the big deal? And as we all know by now, and especially by this time of the day, fasting really interrupts our daily routine, and it interrupts not only our outward routine, but our inward routine. We live oftentimes, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending, you know, we live through life in a very fast-paced manner, and we have a lot of filters and blocks. Things come, but we don't see them, we filter them. And there are messages, there's mercy everywhere, we don't see them. We keep filtering things, we keep blocking things. We have a lot of myths that we have in our head and heart and mind, and that blocks us from seeing and welcoming God's mercy and guidance. So Ramadan is the time to kind of start cleansing those filters. And how does it do it? It does in a number of ways. One way is to kind of it breaks the assumption that I know the world around me. I know what's going on around me. And yeah, this is water, $1.50. This is coffee. This is organic strawberries, more expensive, $4 or something. So I know the world and I pay for things, or if I don't, I work and try to make ends meet. I know my way in the world. But when you go through fast, and at some point when you really feel you're starving, then you start noticing what you take for granted. We realize that water is not $1.50 only. It means a lot, that water. That water that comes from all the way from the clouds, finds its way through the ground, comes to me and touches my taste buds, becomes part of my body, which is 3/4 water, gets digested, becomes life. That water is very precious. And with Ramadan fast, we start noticing it. So Ramadan fast then connects us to these messages around us. Water is a message, but normally we don't read it. We don't feel it. We just, water, $1.50. Or maybe I should go to the cooler and save that dollar. So, but this water, this is incredible. This is a message. This is a reflection of God's mercy. It doesn't quite occur to us often enough. So Ramadan enables us to get back to those signs, to notice them. Because in order to see the signs, we need to notice them. And Ramadan enables, by slowing us down, interrupting our familiarity with things, it enables us to notice those signs. So in that sense, it does really prepare us to receive the Qur'an, both Qur'ans, Qur'an of creation and Qur'an of the message. Another very common assumption or myth we have is that we are self-sufficient. We are strong. Yeah, sometimes we fail, but on the whole, we maintain. We're strong profile people. We have things under our control or almost there. Some things we can't quite get under control, but we're getting there. So there's a sense of self-sufficiency. I'm independent. I'm on my own. I'm making it. I'm doing it. And fasting just shatters that. Especially at this time. You're like, an hour left to iftar. Your brain stops working. You can hear your stomach making sounds, and you're just like so lightheaded. And then that's our reality. Then we start realizing, you know what? I'm actually very weak. Those 2 bottles of water I'm missing, and you see, I'm not functioning. That really is important to break down this idea that I'm self-sufficient. I'm making these things on my own. No, my reality is I am extremely weak. I'm someone who needs that plate and that water, and I'm someone who the smart person of yesterday just can't remember anything, and becomes lightheaded, can't really talk properly. Yeah, this is me. This is real me, and the rest was all blessing, but I wasn't seeing it. I was taking it as mine. Now, facing that weakness, I want to dwell on this especially. That facing our poverty and our kind of vulnerability as human beings is painful. At least, let me put it this way, painful to a part in us. There's a part in us that gets extremely scared when it realizes it's very weak. It's very powerless. It freaks out when it realizes things are not at all under control. So that part of us resists seeing this. So one way which we often take, is to say, okay, listen to that scared part and say, okay, we're scared. Hold on, we got to do something about it. Even if we're not, even if things are not under control, we can at least pretend, right? Let's pull up a show. Let's try and pretend, we have it under our control. Let's make an image, maintain the image, right? I'm a good person. I'm almost perfect, getting there, not yet, but don't show your weakness. It's not about people actually, it's internal. I'm not talking about going around and saying, oh, I'm so weak and vulnerable, and I think I'm going to mess up in my exam tomorrow. Like, not that kind of weakness I'm talking about. I'm talking about that internal talk we have, that constant talk inside that we say, oh, I'm getting there, I am self-sufficient somehow, or at least I should try my best to be. And that's normal, because in the sense that if you think, when I realize I'm so hungry, just as an example, and then I realize I'm homeless, now that's scary, because I may not have food tonight or tomorrow, or I'm in an island, I'm stuck somewhere. I'm hungry, I think I'm going to starve to death. Let's assume. Now, in that moment, you don't want to dwell in that. You want to try to forget that. You want to try to numb that. Well, it's very scary, right? Now, the solution is, no, let me not go to the solution here. Let's dwell on that a bit. So if this is how we approach our weakness, our poverty, then the response is either we try to cover it up, maintain a sense of, an image, an ego that almost is a small God, right? We want to maintain that image. We want to look at least self-sufficient, because otherwise we're scared we're not going to make it. We're not worthy enough, and that's very burdensome. That's extremely burdensome in the long run, and because we deep down know we're not powerful as we claim to be. And we actually have no plan. I can have the best insurance for my car, for my house, for my swimming pool, for my life. Well, life is gone. Life insurance, I guess, your posterity gets some inheritance. But whatever I do, at the end of the day, I am extremely vulnerable. I live in a world that I don't control. I have no solution to separation, loss, or death, and even in relationships, I can't control my feelings. I can't control those people that I am pleasing, trying to please. Sometimes we try so hard to please people and they can't be pleased. So constantly it surfaces out that no, you are weak and things are not under your control, and that's painful. And that's very burdensome to on the one hand, avoid that feeling of being weak, and on the other hand, to kind of pull up that to brace for all that disappointment that we go through life. But alhamdulillah, this is not the only option. The other option is to relook at this neediness, this weakness, and realize that actually it's not something to be scared about. Now, for instance, we're all hungry right now. How many of you are scared about hunger? Tired, but how many of you are scared? Yeah, Brother Latif is preparing iftar. We know that. So, in less than an hour, we'll be eating. Actually, hunger will help us. If you came in full, for some reason you couldn't fast today, you're traveling, something, you came in full, you won't enjoy the iftar. But those of us who are starving, you're going to see how we will enjoy the iftar. So this is a different way of looking at our needs, a different way of looking at our weaknesses, and more real. These needs are given to us, not that we freak out, not because we should freak out, but because they are to be keys to enjoy God's blessings. If there is no hunger, forget tasting food. You will hate it. If you're full, you can't. Even the best food is like, don't show it to me. Oh no, I can't take it. I'm so full. Our need for help. If we don't have any need for help, then we can't enjoy someone helping us. We can't enjoy someone's friendship because I don't need anything. Or need for safety. If I don't need safety, I can't enjoy trusting. I can't enjoy being safe because I don't need it. Needing certainty. I mean, different personalities have different needs more at the top of their list. Definitely for me, certainty, to make sure everything, 50 times look at that. Is that the right? Did I get the address right? Certainty is a need. Now, if I don't have that certain need for certainty, then I won't appreciate knowledge. I won't enjoy trusting and knowing. Need for stability. We all have a need for stability, different levels, but yeah. So then we appreciate order around us. I'm glad that tomatoes grow this way. I don't have to dance. I just have to go get the fertilizer and put water, and inshallah, there's a pattern to things in the world. You can't say, well, maybe tomatoes today they grow up with singing, tomorrow they may grow up with jumping. No, there's an order. Don't worry about it. There's an order. So that also speaks to a need in us. We appreciate order because we have a need for stability. And we need water. I'm done. So we need beauty, right? That's how we get to appreciate beauty, love beauty, appreciate aesthetics. We need eternity, right? That's why we get to rejoice in eternal life, right? So actually, all of these needs are assets. The things that have the least needs are, in a way, less capable. The stone has the least needs. It doesn't need water. It doesn't need to eat, drink, safety, security, orderliness. But we know that it's a lower level of existence. So actually, our needs are our assets. If we can welcome them as such, if we know that they are actually keys to enjoy these blessings. And thereby they open us up to, as we get to taste and appreciate beauty, order, certainty, trust, love, care, we get to open up the Asma al-Husna. That's another key in the Qur'an, right? Beautiful names, beautiful qualities of God. How do we encounter those? How do we reach out to those? Out of our needs. If you don't get hungry, you won't care. You won't be able to relate to the name sustainer, Razzaq, the provider. Good, he provides. I don't know what he provides. If I don't have hunger, if I don't have my needs, I can't relate to this beautiful quality. Safety. If I don't have that need, I can't relate to God's names, such as Muhaymin, the one who protects, who guards, Hafid. My need for certainty. Then if I don't have that need, I don't yet appreciate the source of knowledge. Alim, Hakim. So all of these needs that in the previous scenario I was trying to take care of on my own and getting burdened and frustrated are actually keys to enjoying blessings and getting to know my Creator in all these different colorful, beautiful names that He has. So these are keys. So Ramadan enables us to kind of hang on to those keys. Because there is no, you can fake it outside of Ramadan, especially as we go away from Ramadan, a couple months down the road. But in Ramadan, it's hard to fake this. You're like, I am vulnerable, I am weak, period. You know, I'm just starving, or I'm just lightheaded. I am shaking. So whatever, I am so tired. Let's welcome that. As a part of us habitually hates that because it thinks you're being thrown out. No, it's just a door. My weakness, my needs are a door to divine blessings and to know my Creator in all these beautiful qualities that He has. And in that journey, the extremely important, essential moment is gratitude. Now, I recently learned that, according to, some of you may know better on this, it's not my specialty, but in psychology, they found out recently that gratitude is the healthiest human emotion. It makes you most happy, and it's healthiest, and so on. And if you think about it, without testing it out, without reading the science and the creation, it's weird. Like, why would you be so happy for being indebted? Gratitude means I received something from someone other than myself. What's exciting about that, right? But again, if we think of it with the second understanding of our needs, it's actually beautiful. Because if our needs are not liabilities but our assets, our keys to get to know, appreciate, and enjoy the blessings, then gratitude is the bridge in acknowledging that. And when you drink that glass of water, inshallah soon, and not drink it off water, but water, this is from mercy. This has traveled so many parts of the world, came to me, and it's going to come inside me and be a means for my life, sustaining my life, my body that's 3/4 water. I need it, and I don't know how it's going to work. Well, you can study it, but you don't quite know how it works when you drink it. And it's going to be part of my body. I am taking this, not just water, I'm taking this as a special blessing. So when you drink that water with that attitude, gratitude just springs in human heart like that. I'm grateful, thank you for this water. And in that gratitude, you're also acknowledging a compliment from someone. Right? When someone helps you and you realize it's a help, not someone threw it, but intentionally brought to you, that it's not just your need is met, but also you feel complimented. You feel there's a care toward you. Just as an example, let's say you're stuck in the snow, trying to start your car, and someone comes and gives you a shovel. Here you go, it will help you. As opposed to you just find some shovel-like thing on the side of the road. It's not the same. Someone brings it to you, here you go, I think you need this, and you take it. It's not just you're excited that you get the shovel, because you could have gotten the shovel just from the right side of the road, randomly someone left, just as a scenario. But there's something special there. Not only your need is met, but someone is expressing care about your situation. So when we are grateful to our Creator, so excited, I am actually recognizing, I mean my body, my subconscious know this already, but I am consciously recognizing that my Creator is complimenting me. Here you go, Fatima, water for you, especially for you. I created you with 3/4 water. I brought this water, I brought it down from the clouds and brought it from the depths of the wells, and this is for you, and I am going to give life to you through this. Here you go. Now, taking that, gratitude means I acknowledge that this is a blessing from you, from the creator of the heavens and the earth. And each one of us are being complimented each day, each moment. Right? It's not just water. I mean, we don't fast from the most essential thing, which is breathing. That's the most essential. The freest, the most precious, we don't fast from it. And every single second we are given this. It is a blessing. So that's why gratitude is so so relieving to human soul, because as you're grateful, you are recognizing that you are so taken care of by your Creator, and you're loved, you're cared. And it's the key. The Quran, I mean, it's again a key Quranic concept. Gratitude, the key Quranic concept. I mean, when in some of you might recall in Adam's story in the Quran, when Satan asks for permission to challenge human beings and tempt them, he has the vow. He says, "You shall not find most of them grateful." And commentators say that Satan is smart. He knows that gratitude is the highest level of human response, human worship. But we don't need to ask Satan about this. I mean, there are lots of passages in the Quran that calls us to gratitude, including here in this verse. The verse ends with وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you might be thankful. So Ramadan fast therefore opens up us to a key Quranic concept or way of living, gratitude, through through taking time to recognize all those blessings that we don't even notice. We take them for granted. So in that sense, it also prepares us to receive the Quran. So inshallah, let's intend to see our neediness, our weakness as an asset, as a privilege, as a potential, as a key to unlock these blessings of God, embrace them, and also see Asma al-Husna through them, beautiful names of God through them. And let's resist that part of us. Say, no, like, don't be scared. There will be a part of us, I'm so scared, I'm weak. What does that mean? No, don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared about. Yes, if you were left to your own devices, by all means. If you were left to other people's wishes and power, by all means, you should freak out, because they're all creatures like you and they're all weak like you. But if that need connects you to your Creator, then nothing to worry. Actually, you should be excited, like someone who's invited to a feast and is hungry, right? Once a friend of mine, she called me up. She had prepared wonderful breakfast for someone else who didn't show up. She said, "Can you come? Like, you're gonna enjoy this like that." And I had just had, a big breakfast. I'm like, "No, I can't come because I'm so full." So, you see, you can even be sad about not being hungry if you know you are invited for a feast. So every human being on earth is invited for a feast every day. That feast of connecting to the Creator of the heavens and the earth through different ways. He has innumerable beautiful names through all of those. So let's embrace that vulnerability that we start feeling more in Ramadan. Let's embrace it. Let's welcome it. And finally, going back to Adam's story. Remember when Adam and Eve, they get tempted and they eat from the forbidden fruit? Does anyone know what happens? They eat, and then what happens? Yeah, they recognize their nakedness. Yeah, and what do?
Cover themselves up.
With what?
Leaves.
Leaves, yeah. That's so interesting. If you think about, that story has a lot of levels, layers and layers of meaning. But one way to look at it is from the perspective of this neediness that we can interpret that passage as Adam and Eve all of a sudden facing shame, facing their weakness and their poverty as human beings. And that immediate response is, what do? I'm scared. Leaves. I mean, how well you're stitching, leaves won't make you good clothing. You know, that they're not going to cover much, they're not going to protect you. Those leaves represent the ways in which we try to kind of make up for our neediness by not turning to our Creator. Like, I'll go to God when I really need Him. Like, for now, I'm okay. I'm going to just hang in there and, you know, I'm strong and, you know, this and that. All that stories that we make up, all that show that we pull that we're sufficient and no, we're not needy, and yeah, we can survive through separation and death and all kinds of weaknesses, that's okay. That pretension is the moment of turning to leaves for covering yourself. And then they take a pause and they turn to God. Then God brings down, as the Quran says, libas for them, clothing, proper clothing for them. And then says, libas al-taqwa khair. The dress, I don't know, the clothing of consciousness is the best. Right? That consciousness breaks that vicious circle of, I'm so scared, I don't know what to do, I think I should pretend, but pretending brings more burdens, and then burdens makes you more scared. That it breaks that consciousness. Wait a second. It's not at all a chance or random that I have so many needs, much more than a stone or a plant or an animal, because spiritual, emotional, material, I have so many needs. Needs of making sense, being certain, so many needs. And it's not by chance, it's actually my privilege. And I can't turn. It's perfectly fine to want to be covered, but not through leaves, but by consciousness. So to sum up then, fasting is a key, unlocking many things that enable us to open up to the Qur'an. If we are going to be guided, then the key step is to realize that I need to be guided. You can't guide someone who thinks he doesn't need guidance, right? You know yourself, like there are situations where I found myself, I did need help, but I was like, no, I don't need help, and no one could help me. Even the best coach, best help, couldn't help me because I was very clear that I don't need help at that point. So the best way to benefit from guidance is to recognize I need guidance, and to recognize that it's not a shame to be in need. Actually, it's good. So I can open up to this guidance. So Ramadan fast, inshallah, contains all of these keys and more. It makes us more aware. That's the key thing in the Quran, awareness. Noticing the ayat in the Quran and in the outside Quran of creation. Acknowledging our neediness, and that's key. To see the signs and appreciate them, to open up to God's blessings and to be grateful, and that's also key in the Quran. Gratitude is the key in connecting with our Creator. So then fasting is the appropriate response to the descent of the Quran, and for the Quran to descend to our lives, to our hearts, to our minds, we need that attitude. And fasting, inshallah, brings us there. Of course, when the time for fasting ends doesn't mean we need to, and it continues, but it opens up, it unlocks all those potentials in us that we end up each year suppressing. It enables us to open those all up. I want to end with one personal sharing. The other day, when I was fasting, hungry, feeling weak, and I heard this verse that talked about what was the verse? I had it, but I didn't note it down. ما عندكم ينفد وما عند الله باق, something like that. There's a verse. Yeah, I get confirmation, yeah. So, and you would...
But it's your turn.
So a rough translation would be, what is with you vanishes, perishes, that, and what is with God is enduring, eternal. Now, the personal note is, if I read this passage when I was not fasting, I had the feeling that, if I wasn't fasting, I was in my happy, I'm happy fasting, but strong mode, I would be like, oh, the verse is saying what you have is not good enough, God has better. Oh, that kind of underappreciates what I have. I actually have good things, that would be my mode. I'm just saying, as personal, that you may or may not relate to it, but honestly, that's how I felt. Like, I'd be like, it's kind of underappreciating human capacity and so on. And God has more, so like, okay. But I was fasting, and I think it's related to that. I was feeling vulnerable, and I was feeling weak, and hopefully I was trying to be fine with it, embrace it instead of resist it. So I was like, I'm weak, I'm needy, and that's cool. I'm invited to the King's feast. I have a relationship to him. It opens me up to him. I wasn't thinking all of this, but hopefully it was somewhere there. So when I heard this verse, I loved it. I was like, wow, yeah, what I have, not enough, not sufficient. What you have, eternal, that's exciting. I didn't feel like I was under that. No, I was like, yeah, that's my situation. I am definitely weak, and this is so promising, so exciting, and saying, don't worry, what you have is not enough. Don't worry, we have more in the treasure. Don't worry about that. So I felt this was one small tiny example of how fast could open us up to receiving the Qur'an. When we're in our self-sufficient, I'm okay, I don't need God mode, we don't receive or understand revelation. Whereas when we are accepting and aware of our neediness, then we open up to guidance, and then we receive the good news in the Qur'an. And one last bit again from this verse, the sentence that says, يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. God wills that you shall have ease. God doesn't will that you have difficulty. One meaning of this can be that fasting in some ways looked difficult initially, especially. Oh, I'm gonna have no water, food, anything for 16 hours. It looks difficult, but see what kind of incredible meanings it opens us up to. So it may look difficult from outside, but actually it's ease, and you can confirm it. Like if we go through fast with this awareness, with this realization that it makes us notice all these beautiful blessings that we take for granted. It enables us to welcome our neediness instead of resisting it, covering it up. It gives us beautiful clothing instead of leaves. That fasting is not difficult. It may look difficult from outside, but actually someone is kind of almost dragging us to the treasure. It's like through fasting you get to see this. So it's easy in that sense. When we see the meaning of it, where it's calling us to, what is it opening us to, then it's actually easy. In that sense, fasting is easy, and it does open up us to this treasure of the Quran, inshallah. So أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. These are two verses from the Quran. One is the angel speaking, saying that you are free from any fault or defect, God. You are the source of all knowledge. We have no knowledge except what you teach us. So again, admitting our neediness and welcoming the source of the knowledge. And then the other one is from another verse that narrates the talk of people in heaven. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Praise be to God. And that's their word in paradise. And inshallah we do that here as well.
You think some people may ask questions or comments?
Yeah, please, yeah.
We have some minutes, yeah?
Yes,
Sometimes
yeah.
5-10 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, any questions, comments, welcome.
They are fully satisfied, everybody. So they don't need any more explanation. So neediness is good. That's what we learn. Yeah. Any comment? Any further comment? Or?
Someone
I,
here.
so I have a comment and then a sort of a question for you to comment on. One is about the, I believe it's in Araf, that story of the Iblis and Adam and Eve. I had recently heard another lecture, but it goes on to talk about the story is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking to Bani Adam, the children of Adam, saying clothing has been provided to you. Sort of as a disclaimer that you don't have to worry. So it was just a comment to add to your sort of need. Like this is a very essential need that we have to cover ourselves in. It's something like it's dismissed as you have it. In other words, we don't have to ruffle for leaves to get it. The other comment I have, a question to you is, I've noticed that when we read the hadith from the Sunnah, I've noticed something that we don't really talk about, that every time the Sahaba were asked a question from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would present something spiritual or something matter of fact. And even if the Sahaba knew, they would always respond with Allah and His Messenger. Is that sort of the same thing? Because it seemed like they were always grateful to hear the knowledge again, rather than presume, even as Sahaba, knowing that there was going to be this role of Sahaba, of ever acknowledging, oh yes, I do know.
Yeah, and I think it also teaches us a basic, crucial orientation as we approach the Qur'an or the prophetic saying, because whatever the Quran is talking about is something that I am in need of, period. So it's not, there's nothing superfluous there. So even if it's saying there are birds in the air, my response will be, yeah, I know. Yeah, I actually, major in biology, and I can tell you, well, everyone knows there are birds in the air. But what are you saying? You must be saying something that I am in need of. It can't be that something that I can discover on my own. Of course, even on our own, it's through the intellect that God gives us and all the capacities God gives us. But if there's a separate, explicit address, like the Quran, then it's not going to be superfluous to tell you what you already know. You know birds fly. You don't even have to study biology for that. For centuries, people knew that. So it can't be that. So maybe when the verse says, look at the birds, how are they in the sky? God and His Messenger knows better. Response is, okay, so God must be telling something extremely important to me here, which is not the same as what I know. I know birds fly in the air, and I know aerodynamics and stuff. But what is this verse saying? What is it telling me? Right? So that attitude is extremely important in being receptive to the guidance of the Quran. And then for the leaves, you see that leaves are metaphorical as well, right? And all those leaves, stories that we tell us about being strong, not needy, not being vulnerable. That's what I was kind of playing. But thank you for the addition. And of course, Adam is us. That's why that passage was beautiful. Right after Adam, the children of Adam. I'm not telling the story as an entertainment. This is about you. This is about you. So that's very seamlessly passes right after that, as you said. Thank you. Yes? What's your hunch? What do you think? Mm-hmm. she's asking, if you don't hear, she's asking if that part in us that resists being vulnerable, resists being weak, doesn't want to recognize that part in us, is it innately in us, or is it socially constructed that, our upbringing, because of our upbringing, we start being scared when things are not under control, or we feel weak. Why, how is that in there? Is it in there? And she thinks it's both. What do you think of that? Wait, time is up. Yeah, I mean this.
It's probably most likely both. I mean, your natural response as a free being would be to think that you have capacity to do things, and you just naturally evolve into that. And over time, an ego develops, and then you start assuming that you have abilities beyond what you have, and arrogance takes hold.
Yeah. So it is intentionally in us, just like Satan is intentionally part of that play, right? If God wanted in the Adam and Eve story, if God wanted, he would have said to Satan, no permission. He says, can I get permission just until the day of judgment to tempt them? And yes, you have it, right? It's intentionally part of the plan, because in that struggle, beauty also manifests. In our struggle to say no to that part of us, or try to soothe or deal with that part, beautiful qualities come up, like courage, like persistence, like compassion. That part needs compassion too. Like, I know you're that scared, but we are not in an island. We're just going to the feast. You are not going to starve. I'm telling you. So in that part in us that's scared about being weak and in need, that is intentionally in us, so that we can have that conversation, so that we can have that courage and those qualities in us that can flourish. And why are those qualities important? Why is it important for human beings to have virtue of courage and so on? Because that connect us again to our Creator. So if my courage becomes another glimpse of God's power, God's help. So yeah. Is it time?
No.
That's right.
That's just a reminder for me by 10 minutes.
I see, you have time.
Remind us, everyone.
It's a reminder for everybody by 10 minutes. Inshallah.
And again, that weakness, the social aspect of it is important, because this is primarily an existential weakness between me and my Creator. It's not necessarily about going and telling people I feel so weak. I did X, Y, Z. I'm so shameful. Like, it's not about necessarily exposing yourself to others. There's also dignity to cover up vis-a-vis other. We have a sense of privacy. We have a sense of shame. These are all gifts as well. So it's not like embracing vulnerability means exposing yourself. But before God, we are already exposed. And there's something in accepting that and having, rejoicing in that. And, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a messy person, okay? Let's say, maybe not. Let's say you came by my house, just, you stopped by and you saw my kitchen dirty. Okay. My husband knows the kitchen really well, but sometimes he can't keep up. So let's say I'm at home and the kitchen is messy, and you walked into my kitchen to get a glass of water. You saw my kitchen, and I feel so weak and ashamed. Like, oh my gosh, you saw my kitchen. Yeah. So that feeling is a message. It's part of that Qur'an that we live in, the Qur'an of creation. So that message is saying to me, number one, Isra, you don't want to be dirty. Regardless, you don't want that dirty kitchen anyway. Just when she came in, you felt it hits you more when someone else sees it too. But even if she wasn't to come, when you enter that kitchen, you're ashamed. Like, you don't want to leave it like that. Run the dishwasher. Right? So that feeling is telling that to me. You know, next time, just take a couple minutes to clean up your kitchen. Okay, you're ashamed. That shame gives you that feeling. Okay? But it's not about I should look perfect to everyone and I should pretend that, you know, it's not about that. It's not about saying, oh, I embrace my weakness, come see my dirty kitchen, and let me show you my clothes, it's still there, so that's it. It's not about that. It's about seeing that there is mess in the kitchen, there is mess in the closet. That makes me feel ashamed. I feel pain there, or neediness. Let me turn that into receptivity. That means God is going to bless me with order in the house. This is my, you know, let me open up the order and welcome it. Right? Not say, oh, I embrace, you know, mess in the house. Embracing that feeling is to say, yeah, I am needy. If I'm left to my devices, I end up messy. But my Maker gave me the need for order. Let me embrace that. And that's easy. Then it becomes easy. Then you can actually go ahead and take 10 minutes and clean it up. And it feels good. Why it feels good? Because you are reflecting a name of God there. Al-Quddus. The one who purifies. So those needs, I went into detail because it's not just about social construct that I shouldn't be ashamed of my dirty kitchen. It's more like I need to get the message from that. It's not about me maintaining an image. It's about me opening up recognizing my needs and opening up myself to meeting, encountering beautiful qualities of God. And praising Him at the end, not myself. Knowing who I am as someone who's naked and who's in need. So,
thank you. So these brothers and sisters are telling us that you better stop. People are suffering from hunger, and it's good, but we don't want to stay hungry.
So is it time?
Thank you. Thank you. Jazakumullah.
Thank you very much.
Jazakumullah.